on the video now for the next hour, the festival.
Hi, welcome to Whistle Walks with Terry Clark Coyne. I'm starting my journey around Liverpool today by visiting the Irish Famine Memorial, which is in the grounds of St Luke's Church, often known to Liverpudlians as the Bombed Out Church, which in itself is a memorial to the Second World War. I was asked to write a piece of music to commemorate the Great Famine, and I composed a piece called Liverpool Remembers, so I'm going to play that for you now at the monuments and take you on a journey after that around my city and tell you how the places, the buildings, the people have affected my life and my music. Hope you enjoy. the Philharmonic Hall was quite a key place in my musical life across the years. So in honour of my time in the Liverpool Philharmonic Hall, I'm going to play quite a new piece, which actually I wrote for my wife's birthday during lockdown on the 29th of March. And it's called Nettie Dances. My wife's name's Annette. I'm actually facing the front of the world famous Philharmonic Hall as I'm talking. I'm going to play this tune, Nettie Dances Jig. For the Philharmonic Hall. Well, the Everyman Bistro was the place to be if you were an artist in the city, and it was located underneath the Everyman Theatre, and it was owned by Paddy, a great friend of ours, and unfortunately closed when the Everyman Theatre itself was renovated some years back, and Paddy, being the man he is, ventured into only about 2 doors away and opened a fantastic venue called the Pen Factory, which has become a similar type of haunt for us musos and artists, etc. And Paddy has let me into the courtyard of the Pen Factory to record this off the main road, but this goes back to the heart of the Everyman Bistro and why it was there, and it still lives and breathes in this courtyard and in the Pen Factory next door. So this is in honour of all those years and great people and great times, and more to come, I hope. So I'm going to play a tune called Hope, which I composed when I was on a visit to Auschwitz in Poland, and it was just something for all people of the world to have hope for their own plight. And see him actually on Hope Street in Liverpool, very famous street with the cathedral, Catholic and Protestant cathedrals at either end of it. I thought I'd play this spot. So this is Hope. Well, this building behind me, which is a Grade 2 listed building, is the former home of the Liverpool Irish Centre, and we all have places in our childhoods which are key to our memories when we had fun, met great people, long-lasting relationships and friendships, and it was certainly all for me in this building, the old Irish Centre. Now, my dad played music there, Liverpool Ceilidh Band playing music there, great bands visited over the years, and great crack had by everyone who entered the building. Crack, one of the Irish words for fun. So I'm going to play a tune which I wrote in honour of the old Irish Centre called Great Crack on Mount Pleasant, and Mount Pleasant being the busy road behind me you can hear, Mount Pleasant, quite a long hilly road which ends up at the top here at the Irish Centre, and right next door to it the Catholic Cathedral, so a very apt place for us. So it's a reel called Great Crack on Mount Pleasant. Great Crack on Mount Pleasant. On September 12th, 2012, the report of the Hillsborough disaster came out that vindicated all of the Liverpool fans of any blame in the loss of the 96 lives on that fateful day on the 15th of April 1989. That evening saw a gathering of up to 20,000 people for a vigil on the plateau of St George's Hall, this amazing building behind me, and you'll see the plateau on the opposite side and shut the whole main road. And it was a very humbling, sombre occasion with fans of both creeds, Everton and Liverpool, and the families of the bereaved, all the players past and present, and many of the dignitaries of Liverpool and beyond. Now the Mayor, Joe Anderson, asked me to write a tune in commemoration of that particular occasion, so I wrote an air which is an Irish style lament called the 15th of April 1989, and I played that solo to the 20,000 assembled, and it's certainly one of the most humbling and heartfelt of my performances. I'll remember it till the day I die. So the 15th of April 1989. For as long as I can remember, my family and I have travelled to Ireland using the ferry at Liverpool. For many years the boat left Liverpool to travel to Dublin, but in recent years routes from Holyhead have taken over that traffic. There is still a daily ferry from Liverpool, but going to Belfast. I was lucky enough a few years ago to spend some time in Belfast, and I wrote a jig about a story I heard on the BBC News about a Catholic and Protestant children's playground that was open so they could play in each other's area, and they said it was like a secret garden. So I composed a tune called Belfast Secret Garden. Hope you enjoy it. Well, the Cunard building behind me is one of the buildings known as the Three Graces, and they've been given UNESCO World Heritage status. The Cunard line plus the White Star shipping line were at one time the largest steamship company in the world. Many Irish people passed through Liverpool, many of them using the vast luggage storage areas in the basement of this building before departing for the USA. Most dreamed of a better life on the other side. I composed a tune about a journey I was undertaking on a boat a few years ago, and I named it The Other Side. This is in honour of all those people who passed through the Cunard building. This ultra-modern museum behind me is the first in the world to be completely dedicated to the history of its own city. The previous older building that just replaced had at one time housed a large exhibition of the place of the Irish in Liverpool and their significance in its development. I was honoured to have my first tin whistle, a photograph and a biography on display, and it was in a glass cabinet under spotlights as part of that exhibition. Very proud. A visiting musician friend said, "I can't believe you're honoured in the museum, as I thought you had to be dead for that." Well, still going. Well, I'm at the end of my short whistle walk through my home city of Liverpool. I hope it's shown how its locations and memories have shaped my musical life. I'm blessed to be a small part of the city's history, and hopefully a little more to come yet. See you all again next time.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? If you can, give me a thumbs up. Yes, that looks good, looks promising. Well, welcome to this evening's show. And first and foremost, a big thank you to Terry for that evocative, wonderful film that we've just seen, and the great playing as usual from one of the city's finest musicians. Terry and I go back a long way in terms of making music together, but also in terms of the festival. You played at the first one, Terry, and I suppose looking back over your years of involvement with us as a board member as well, of course, the Rsc Sessions were one of the highlights that you participated in and had a major hand in bringing onto the stage at the Phil. And also, I should note that the early events in the late 90s and early noughties that you hosted in bringing over musos from County Clare in particular, but from other places far beyond, to have a riotous couple of riotous weekends of music making in the Ship and Mitre and elsewhere were one of the reasons why they fired up my imagination in terms of enlarging that sort of event that you put together, those events that you put together, and creating this festival, of which you've been such a significant part over the years. So thanks again for your contribution, and you're going to be invited to make more of those as we invite the audience members here to join with us and ask of you whatever they wish, within reason, of course, but it's over to our audience. Thank you, Terry.
Hey, absolute pleasure. Thanks everyone for joining. I think this is going to be a basic question and answer. Hopefully some of you have got some sensible questions. I know there's a few people on here who have some ridiculous ones. I'm quite happy to go with any questions that are put up. But if you could sort of give us an indication that you'd like to sort of say something, then we can make sure that someone unmutes you. I think Martin's sitting there, Martin Bond, who might give you a wave. He'd be looking at maybe unmuting people or getting you queued up to say, yes, you can ask a question next. It just saves you all just jumping in and all start asking questions at the same time, which is a usual Zoom session for a lot of people where there's just a lot of noise and cacophony. But and if you were one of those without a sort of video going, so you choose not to have a video on, you might have to send a message in the chat just to say, don't forget me, I'm sitting here, but I'm not showing you me greasy hair or whatever. So I'm open for business.
So, Louise has just said in the chat, he's my dad, so I can ask him anytime. Has anybody else got a question to ask? Siobhan. We just need to unmute you, Siobhan. Sorry.
Hello, Siobhan.
Hi, okay.
No, this is another daughter.
And I'm a mother-in-law.
Hello, mother-in-law.
I just want to ask, how many instruments can you play?
Oh, well, you might be better asking some of the other musos in the room, because I can say I can play them and they might in the back of their mind say, well, he can't really play that very well. But you can see my principal instruments behind me. Yeah, and then actually I can see myself up on the wall. I play a lot of violin, fiddle, play a lot of banjo. I've got a beautiful kazookie up here that I am, which is a guitar body, but it's a bouzouki strung instrument. So it's a bouzouki with a guitar body to give it a different sound. Yeah. So I love playing that. Mandolin. Play pipes, but actually I've decided I'm going to give up on the pipes, although I can do them. I've literally just sold them to go to a home where they'll be played a lot more. I've got a piano behind me here, which I play really badly, and I can squeeze tunes out of a And of course, hi, Casey, John Howson there. Casey, I've got a nice button accordion sitting the Honer up on the top shelf, just behind the camera. I can play a pretty decent barron in different styles and bits of percussion. So yeah, quite a lot. But I'm a flute and whistle player, and I do a lot of singing and dancing. So all round leprechaun really. That's about
it. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Louise has said she would like to come in, actually. Louise?
This will be a science question or something.
No. So I want to just say the correct question Siobhan and Shady should have asked was, what instrument can't you play?
Thank you.
Not with my dad. He could play anything.
Well, I'll tell you, an instrument I wish I could play much better would be piano, because of the full range that it's got. And I love to sing, and I actually got that gazooki behind me to back myself to singing, because I can sing a lot of unaccompanied songs, but I love to sing with accompanists, but I'd love to do it for myself. So that's one instrument, either guitar, gazooki, or a piano. But another instrument I absolutely love, and that's a sitar, so the Indian sitar, and I would love to spend time just learning and playing that. But I'm getting older, and I've got to I'm actually starting to find myself into instruments, which is why with my whistle-walk stuff, I'm really honing in on one set of instruments.
You are an instrument.
I am an instrument. Thank you, my daughter.
Okay, sorry, go on. Anyone else got a question?
Thanks for running the session, Louise.
Caroline's holding her hand up. Caroline Cobain? Oh, we need to unmute you, Caroline. Just give us one moment. Go ahead.
Hi, Terry. I've been watching your whistle walks. I can't say that I watched every single one of them, but I watched quite a few. I just moved to Liverpool in February, just before the lockdown. So, so I'm hoping eventually I'll be able to get into the Irish music up here, but we haven't been able to do much yet.
Absolutely, yeah.
I want to know how, I know this is probably like known by many musicians, but how did you actually do the hookups with all these famous musicians that you played with on those whistle walks?
Well, I mean, that's, in some ways, I just say the documentary you just saw is a sort of, a sort of small chronological history of my life. And when you're involved in it that much, particularly through my younger years, we travel around to a lot of festivals, traveled throughout England and eventually Europe. So you meet up with so many people. I was always involved in either gigging in bands or as solos. So you'd meet people at places. So they were all acquaintances. Most of them are acquaintances that I've come across over a long period of time. So it's not
Sorry,
like
I was asking about the technology.
Oh, the technology. Sorry. I'm answering the question you didn't know you were going to ask there. So rephrase the question. So for my simple mind.
Well, it's just a mystery to me how all these throughout the lockdown, these very famous musicians have been able to do all these hookups, where they play in time together. How do they actually do it? And you've got to do it outdoors, which is even more amazing.
Yeah, it's very challenging. Don't put it that way. There are one or two apps. The main one that a lot of musicians use is called a cappella. So like unaccompanied singing, spelled the same. But it's an app for recording one person, and then the other person records on the same app, and someone has to decide the techie, and they put
appropriate question.
It makes this little window of people playing together. Usually they play separately. Most of them, you'll see most people wearing headphones, and that means someone's had to start off the playing and other people play to that player.
Oh, right, okay.
So basically it's like building blocks. So
yep.
with my whistle walks, the way it's had to work with duets is I have to behind the scenes, really, before anything starts, I get in touch either with them or they get in touch with me saying, should we do a walk? And I then ask them to send me a video. So the easiest way for me is they send me a video of a tune they've decided upon. And I just say, play any tune that you like. If I don't know it, I'll learn it. And if I know it, then I'll learn it your way. So we did a lot of synchronization to how we play it, because we all play, quite differently at the same piece of music. So then they would send me that video. I'll then extract the audio from that video on my computer, put it onto my phone, take it out, put some Bluetooth headphones in, and then literally I've had to do some counts in for myself. So it's quite technical in a way. So it's very challenging being able to play and hear the audio right level, because sometimes my flute in particular is quite loud, so I wouldn't be able to hear very well the track. So I'd have to adjust the audio volumes, so when I go out, it's quite loud in the ear. And then I come back and edit it all into one section. So some of them have taken quite a long time. The easiest ones where I just go out, put the camera on, and I go, I'm going to play the Sally Gardens just off the top of my head, blah, 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 and play. Now, I think once in the whole, 90 plus I've now made, I've actually been able to just go blah, 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 and play it, and that's the end. Because tractors, wind noises, dogs barking, things fall, even the dog knocked me, I've always got the dog with me, he's here on the couch, knocks the camera over, and, there's a whole host of things. But the tech side, yes, I spent a lot of hours learning stuff and, buying some kit and just
amazing. Thank you for doing that.
So is someone feeling sick there?
It's Jean's name, but it's a gentleman holding his hand up. I'm asking you to unmute now.
Hello, Jean. Hello. Hello.
I am Jean Pansky tonight. Hello.
Know them well.
I'd just like to apologise, Terry, for having to abort your gig at the bottom of Philip this year.
Oh, yeah, well, that was, just one of those things. COVID's hit a lot of our gigs, and that's all I have to cancel, yeah.
There's work waiting in Southport in 2025.
Lovely, I have it booked in for 2025. I'll be in my wheelchair and my Zimmer.
Are you doing anything on video with Philip?
Yeah, I'm planning. We're in the middle of an album at the moment, so we're planning to do some video clips and for when that starts to promote. So that we haven't planned that yet. We were actually going to have an album launch for the Rsc Festival, which is mid-November, and seeing that when we knew that was called off a few weeks ago, we've taken the sort of route that this particular time isn't the time to be pushing work and and albums and things like that. So we're going to push it back a bit, so we can probably produce some snapshot videos to go with it too. So that's the only thing we can do at the moment. Is it's a little bit like the Whistle Walks themselves, or a lot of the things you see online of people playing together. You cannot play together at the same time from two different places. So you have to create these little montages. So we'll probably do that, until such time as we can actually be live again together. I think the last time we were live for a proper festival event was the Whitby Folk Festival last year you were at. So yeah.
Very, very impressive. Very impressive. Best thing I saw all week, frankly.
Thank you. Oh, best thing you saw. Love that. Thanks.
Thanks for your question. Louise would like to ask another one, and then we're going to hear from Ronan.
Yeah, so this is not a question, but it's more of just letting other people be aware, or to try and watch the video that you created of you playing music. It's about the technology side and how you put all of these pieces together. So I asked you about my granddad's, Eamon Queen's favourite song in tune, and what you did was you actually got a recording from him actually playing a piece of music, and you played it in sync with him. And do you remember you put all the videos and little pieces of, so yeah. It would be a good one for everyone to watch, because that, I would say, that is probably your best to combine every bit of the stuff using the technology.
Well, funny enough, that piece was quite challenging, because obviously my dad had died a long time ago, and
yes.
The piece of music, funny enough, was recorded by John Howson, who's in the room.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which and he's giving you a wave there. He's under he's got Katie Howson as the name there, but John, John recorded.
Where are you, John?
My dad, Eamon, and Sean McNamara and Peggy Pekin. Unfortunately, my dad didn't get to do a lot of the main recording sessions because he died in the middle of the whole thing being put together. So basically, I've taken one of John's recordings, and John, I what's it, mislaid or whatever, but I couldn't come across, lent out the album, so he sent me a copy so I could take the audio off it, and then I put together photographs. Yeah, that was.
Did John create the album?
Say again.
Did John create the album?
John produced, recorded and produced the album. Yeah, he has his
Oh,
own.
wow, John! Yay! Thank you.
Yes, she's delighted. So who we on?
Sorry, Louise, if you've got that link, would it be possible to drop it in the chat?
With Dad, you know me. You've got it, Dad. You've got it, haven't you?
Yeah, I'll find that and drop it.
It might just be worth dropping in the chat. So coming over to Ronan McGrath now, and then we'll come to Steve Martin, if that's okay.
Hello, Ronan. Mute.
Hold on, we're getting there.
Louise.
Oh, Ronan?
Hi, Terry. Can you hear me now?
Ronan. Great to see you. Great to hear from you.
Big fan of your whistle walks. Thanks a lot. It's provided some light relief in this COVID era. I just wanted to ask you, Terry, as someone who really grew up and was immersed in the Liverpool scene, are there any, people talk about regional music styles, particularly from Ireland, Clare or Galway or Sligo or Donegal. Do you feel that you had any particular influences in that respect? I know you spent quite a bit of time in Clare, for example. Would you say your music has been influenced by any of those styles?
I think to answer that to answer it in a short way, which I'll try, is actually quite difficult because some people won't know about regional styles and things. But there are a lot of players from outside of regions. So the Sligo is a big flute playing area. Who they would want to play like the Sligo style because that's what they like of the style. So I'm talking about flute playing maybe at the moment. I never wanted to play a style of any other place.
Yeah.
So, and I've always, on the caveat to that, I've always listened to world music. I've always listened to other music. I was a punk rocker in my 16, 17, 18-year-old. So I've always wanted to bring influence of just what I feel into my music, not play the style of Clare or the style of Roscommon or that. So they do influence me. Obviously, I spent a lot of time in Clare, so I love the Clare swing, and it's called the swing and lift of Clare music. But I love jazz, so I like to put some jazzy feel in there. And I played in a lot of bands and a lot of events, and which have been quite hybrid types of music over particularly in my early years. It wasn't all just Cayley and traditional. So I think it's sort of a bit of a mishmash, and I don't think I play like anyone else, but I never set out to, and I'm not worried that I don't. But it might not be everyone's cup of tea because it's not, it can't be said, oh, he plays that style or this style or that style. But that doesn't matter to me. I just play what I play. I enjoy it. As long as I'm enjoying it, that's, that's the main thing.
We'll have a longer conversation about it sometime, hopefully, when we can get together. Thanks a lot, Terry.
And how about you, Steve?
Hi, Terry.
Mrs. Martin.
How you doing, mate?
I'm great. Yeah, brilliant.
Right, I've got a couple of questions and a really good idea. Okay, right. First question is it, if I know you've done that many whistle walks, there probably ain't that many people left. But if you could do a whistle walk with anybody at all that you could think of, dead or alive, who would it be?
If you'd asked me that question about 2 months ago, I could have given you the name, but I've already done it now. And it hasn't gone out as a whistle walk. A video has been done, An album track has been made and is almost complete, and it'll be on the new album. But it's with Cormac Brannock. Cormac Brannock is a top-flight, well-known whistle player who probably, to me, turned the genre of whistle playing into its own instrument, and particularly whistles which aren't the standard D whistle. So all of this kit behind me, I built because of one album, really, and maybe even one tune that he played on an album called the group called Deschel. So Cormac and I have been working over the past 2+ months, and we've produced. Well, I've produced a new working of the Long Note tune, which was his seminal piece of music, and we've now completed a full recording of that duet to go on the album. And he's produced a video, and I'm producing a video, but it's not going to be a whistle walk. It's going to be an album-only whistle walk launch type thing. So yeah, of the people I really wanted to play with, there's one more, Brian Finnegan, who I'm hoping will join me soon, and he's one of the names at the top of any tree. Yeah. So that's a short answer, I think. Yeah.
Short answer. Another sneaky little question. First time I heard you play was at the very first at the Philharmonic, the very first Rsc Sessions, and I've heard you many times since, obviously. What are the chances? Come on, put it out there. What are the chances of another Rsc Sessions? It was an amazing experience, and everybody wants it back.
Well, it's a good question, and it's one that's been mooted a few times, obviously. Yeah, it was a great concept. I think one of the thing is it's a big undertaking. It's a big show. It's a big cost gamble, really, in the end. So that has been difficult. And obviously, one of the spearheads of it, Simon Glynn, moved on to his work in Buxton, and it takes a central person of clout, someone who can manage the enormity of the project, because it is an enormous project in itself, rather than just another gig. So you're not just booking a band; it's quite a big project and undertaking to be the manager of, and then you've got to get people to buy into it, i.e. the big theatres, to take it on board, because it has to pay for itself. So that's not really answering your question. It's just an understanding of the enormity of it. There's obviously people here from the Irish, the Irish Festival. Again, the Irish Festival itself isn't able to take up on an undertaking like that. It was partnered by the Philharmonic and mainly underwritten by the Philharmonic, although it never lost its shirt. But at each of the venues we went to, South Bank Centre, and we went to the Queen's Hall in Belfast, and we went to Londonderry, and they, the gamble was on the theatre, not the artist, not Simon Glynn, not the Irish Festival. So it would take someone like the Philharmonic again to say, yes, we're doing this, and it could be done, it could be streamlined, it could be done in a different way to make it happen. I can't say that it would be as big a presentation as it has been in the past. Richard Haswell, who's still in the management role in the Philharmonic Hall, we did have a conversation on a show a few years ago about me spearheading and making a team make it work, but again, through finance, it didn't happen. So I'm still open. I thought it was a fabulous project, but if not that, then I'm thinking projects which will just take me in other directions.
No, that's great, sorry. And I was just kind of keeping it alive, I'm just trying to keep the idea going and don't want anyone to forget. The interesting concepts, great concept, you're going to love this. What about a round island with a fridge and a whistle? I reckon everyone will buy into it. There's a film in it, there's a book in it and everything.
Well, if I can get Roddy Doyle involved to bring it, then I'll tag along. Great book, by the way. Yeah, it's a great piece of work.
Sorry. Thanks for that, Steve. Just to touch on that, I mean, never say never. It isn't a dead in the water idea, but it involves the people who had the original idea wanting to come together again, because it's about who has those sort of intellectual property rights to use it. So it is something that we've spoken with Simon about. It's something that we've spoken with the Philharmonic about. It's something that funding has completely changed around as well. The funding for that sort of rehearsal and that concept is all very different now to how it sort of began then. So we're still looking at ways where we can try and bring those things together. As I say never. We know it's wanted, but having the skill to bring that musical curation to it, something I don't have. All of those sorts of parts to make it work are essential, I think. And as I say, we haven't. It's not a no, but we've just got to make sure that all the stars are aligned properly at some point. So coming to questions that we've got here, coming back to Louise, if you're on now. Yeah, are you there?
I don't pay her, you know.
Okay, so I've spoken to you in the past, and I asked about Grandad Damon and where he got his inspiration from to play the fiddle the way he did, because he used to dance with it, and I'm sure it was someone Maguire from Southport.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He originally, as a youngster, was like a lot of young people, he used to hide his fiddle, saying he couldn't find it, so he didn't have to go to his lessons. But when he, when he got a little bit older, he did come across Sean Maguire, right, who lived in Belfast, and Sean used to come to the house when the likes of Sean McNamara and Harry Ray and Moira and the Roonies and the Macs. I think the impetus was when a group of them got together. So I don't think it was particularly him who got his own inspiration. He met people who were playing, and he went, well, I can play a bit of that, and I'm going to do more of it. And I think it just fired his need and want to play it. And they met so often, and he was lucky enough to meet some fantastic musicians, some who came to study in Liverpool for their degrees and their PhDs, the likes of Frank Horan, who's an accordion player with the band, and Charlie Lennon, a great composer, player, Thomas O'Cannon, another great musician. So he got fired up, and that's what made him play. So, and the same with me, I don't think any of us.
Who was your inspiration? Who was he? Someone that you loved who played the flute that you've got inspiration from and followed maybe this style?
I don't think I followed style, but many of the people here will know two names: Seamus Tansey and Matt Malloy, probably the two principal players when I was very young. There was only so much music coming out, and there was only so many LPs at the time, and you could get a solo LP of only a few musicians, and they had to be, the top musicians at the time, and that's Matt Malloy and Seamus Tansey. To be honest, I played music, and my very first music and most music I played along to was the test card on the TV. I used to sit with speakers which were attached to the television. I decided my head lying down on the floor, and I used to play the whistle. I used to play anything that came on the test card, no matter what it was. It was classical, easy, big band music, and I'd been trying to play it. So that was actually my inspiration to keep blowing the whistle. I didn't go to the Irish Centre till I was about 12 or 13. And I was already playing the whistle before that. I just didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. Would
you say that growing up, going to the Irish Centre and playing music, but also being in Cayley bands and watching dancers dance, seems to be all the people who went to the Irish Centre, when they play music, dance while they play, and it's probably something that the new Irish players don't really have, because there's not really that around.
I think they do. It's just there are lots and lots of young players now who also dance like I did, like I do. So the passion and the drive is still there. It's just slightly different nowadays. The gig scene. Most things seem to be tied in with money. Even gigs in pubs are tied in with money. So it's slightly different, but the passion
Yeah.
dancing away by playing. Yeah, I'm sure that,
Okay.
and I hope everyone and the youngsters to,
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Louise. Martin Bond has a question, and then I've got one to ask from Beverly.
Hi, Martin.
Okay. Hi, Sarah. I'm really glad Louise asked those questions, actually, because it's kind of a little bit around what I was going to ask you about. Because when I was growing up, I'm from St Helens, so we kind of used to go into Manchester and Liverpool when I was a child. But the Irish Centre was a big focus of it for us, and I just remember an intrinsic pride from my mother and my grandparents about the Liverpool Ceilidh Band and their reputation, and how much that meant for us in our part of the Irishness of the Northwest at the time. Well, I know you just said you only started going there when you were in your early teens, probably, but even I, as a smaller child, was aware of that and that awe that the Liverpool Ceilidh Band had. Was there an awareness of that within that group of musicians and people that they were having an effect on the rest of the Irish community in the Northwest?
There was, but there were other bands, even just around Britain, who were great bands who each had some very influential musicians in. Each band had some sort of key musicians who would be seen as the leaders in their particular areas. So they knew they were influential. I think when they won the two World Championships, the two All Irelands back in the 60s, and they went to America, that's when they realised the power of their music, because they were literally, they did a mini Beatles. They went there thinking, who's going to want to listen to us? We're from Liverpool, playing trad music. There happened to be a Ceilidh band, but they went absolutely manic for them over in New York and Philadelphia and whatever. And they realised that the music is out there even more than they thought it was, and it got out very quickly, even in the days before all of this. The word spread that these are special. And I think the special thing that I've taken from the band, and it's sort of left its imprint in me, is always, first of all, have fun with the music and you're playing, but show you're having fun. It goes back to a little bit what Louise was talking about. And I saw some pictures being shown on the news today, a campaign, I think it's called Take a Moment, and it's a lot of pictures of very famous people done by a famous photographer. They're black and white photos with their eyes shut. And a lot of us musicians, when we're playing, we get lost in the moment. We're loving it and we shut our eyes, because actually we go into the pleasure of what we're doing. So it's not all about entertainment. It's about, I've learned all of this and I'm playing this and I love doing it, and you internalize it. So in a way, they did know, but even if it didn't happen and people sort of told them how good they were, they'd love it anyway, and they pervaded that. So it did actually make that, sort of snowball more. Hope that makes sense.
Thanks for that. Beverly asked, just in the chat over here, have you ever been asked, or would you consider collaborating with another genre, rock or pop, for example?
Yeah, I've done lots of collaborations over the years. Most musicians would actually. I don't know many musicians who I've worked with have only stayed in one genre completely all their life, because sometimes being able to play, sometimes sustaining work to be able to bring some money in. I've played in all types of bands and I've collaborated in all types of work, and I've played bits of jazz whistle and played a bit of Indian whistle on this, and I've played some really folky stuff, and I've played some sort of European sound and things. So yes, but I actually love playing other music. I'm very passionate about my traditional music, but if I get an opportunity to if I could play with Anushka Shankar, I think someone asked me, who would you want to play with? Well, my other answer is I'd love to play with Anushka Shankar, because there's just a beautiful knowledge and possession of music and tradition within that lady. And I was lucky enough to see Ravi Shankar and Anushka play, and the Zakir Hussain and the family play on the drums. So yeah, I think Indian music, and most of you know, but some won't know, Annette and I are yoga teachers, yoga trained. We sort of follow, slightly a yogic lifestyle. So indie music is sort of key in my life, and I'm going to be writing after this next album. I'm going to be writing a lot of music for yoga, meditation, and spiritual listening and things like that. So it's another area that I like playing in. Yeah.
Thanks ever so much for that, Terry. So I'm really aware of the time. I'm just going to set up what's going to happen now. We're going to take a last question from Fran. Then we're going to come back to me and I'm going to give you a couple of notices. And then I'm being really cheeky and I'm going to say, could you maybe play us out, Terry, so that we can give you a nice round of applause before we all say goodbye and close the session?
Has anyone got, before you say the answer to ask the question then, has anyone got a suggestion of a tune? And it means that I know what to sort of dig out of the big box and have ready to play. Maybe even Fran. Fran's a major musician, so she'll know a tune off the top of her head. Not one I don't know you.
It was Fran that had a question, wasn't it? It is, okay. So any suggestions, if you want to drop them in the chat, that's great, but we'll go to Fran to ask her question now. Oh, do I need to?
Oh, am I unmuted?
Hi, Francis.
Yeah.
I wrote Fran because I couldn't be bothered writing Francis. Well, Fran's fine. So you talked about moving to Ireland,
yeah,
you know, because you want to play more music. Is that, and I've got a follow-up question as well. Is that now off the cards because of COVID, or are you quite happy where you are, or is there a long-term aim to move back there? And the second question is, because of COVID, are you thinking more about playing music online? You know, you're talking about making an album and doing your whistle walks. Do you think in the next couple of years, that's what we'll all be doing then, just digital stuff, collaborating online, doing videos, and maybe using Jam Kazam if they can get the real-time playing working? Because I don't think we're going to be back playing live music the way we were and playing in sessions. So are you planning a digital future? And is it going to be where you are or back in Ireland?
Okay. Well,
and for a finishing tune, Bucks of Armor, of course.
Okay. On what instrument? I mean, whistle, flute, D, low D. I'll let you choose.
The really, really big whistle, the biggest one you've got.
On the really, really biggest whistle. You're a bugger. I will give that a go though, although I might swap after playing it a little bit. It's a really difficult whistle to play. Very quick answer to the first one. Yes, I seriously wanted to go to Ireland because I thought that to really immerse myself back into the music, I need to be sort of sitting in it. You know, Clare in particular, if we go and live in Clare, then you're just surrounded by music. I'd go out every night if I wanted to play music. Did have a serious look in January, went over, looked at all the options about housing, how money would transfer that we get here, all types of things. And it was literally, I'd used the word impossible, almost impossible to make it work. And once I had that out of my system and I knew that, I realized that maybe, you know, it wasn't to be, and I'm very, you know, calmer and all that. It's not to be. Okay, put that out of my mind. I'm very happy where I am. North Wales and this whole region is full of music and great music and musicians. And because then of COVID, so leading into that, I was actually thinking if I was in Ireland, and I love walking, go out walking every day with the dog, and Annette and I, we're always walking. It's a big passion of ours. And the whistle walk thing just happened to come into our minds when we were over there and saying, well, we could do some walking on, you know, the Clare Way and then go up to Galway and then do some Northern Ireland, and, you know, and I play music because it makes sense to play music with people and bring them out on walks. Where playing Irish music and bringing people on walks here doesn't make the same sense, does it? It's like, although it could, if advertised in the right way, I could actually do whistle walk to groups of people and play whistle while I was out and have a session at the end. And it's, you know, something that some festivals actually do. They do a festival walk and have a session at the end. So all that was swimming around in my mind in the early part of COVID. And then it came to March the 17th, it's come up to March the 17th. And I think there was an organisation, I thought it was Fair Play, but it's not, the sort of the women's movement, which is crucial. And I thought I'd play, there was a tune called O Ro Should Have a Howolya. It's an Irish children's song, which they were asking as many people as possible to go out on their doorstep and either sing or play. So we were out walking and Annette held my phone and I played it. I brought a whistle to play. Well, this is in support of the movement. And then I went into a tune afterwards and I posted it and about 200 people looked at it. And I thought, I didn't expect 10 people to look at it. And I thought, well, a few days later, I thought, well, I'll just put another tune out. And from then, that many people got in touch that it just grew and grew. And I did it for over 8 weeks every single day and just grew in popularity. That brings me into the second part of the second question. Yes, I think online will be here for a long time to come. And I think it will change the destination of some musicians. It's changing the amount of work I'm doing, the amount of effort, extra playing, targeting, and my love, you know, I'm up, I've got a really good recording set up, I'm recording and I've got other people and all these brilliant musicians. I've got 14 world-class musicians joining me on the album. You know, it wouldn't have happened had I just decided, I think I'll make another album. It's sort of, for me, it's been something that's speared a new direction for me, and online will be a big part of my future. I'm not a big going out to pub guy anymore. You know, as you know, I don't even make that hour to Manchester. My life is different. My personal life is different. So I'm creating a new place for me, whether that's for everybody. And even if it goes back to full sessions and gigs and tours, I might do some small bits, but I'll probably exist more online because I can make that work for me in my present situation, age, what I'm playing, what I need to do. And I've done full-time touring the world and being away for months. I don't ever want to go back to that. So if I can have a presence and be useful for other people to listen to, I'll still love what I'm doing. So yeah, I think those of us who spend time online do some new learning, and it's a lot of new learning. You know, it will put a lot of people off. It's hard technology, as you know, Fran, because you work in the tech business as well. It's not easy, and for some people, it's just like that. No, I can't go anywhere near it unless someone sets it up for me. And that's possible that, you know, some of us who get quite good at it can help other people and even earn some funds from helping other people be present with a new way forward. You know, because they're fantastic musicians, singers, dancers, artists, you know, of every kind, who need to have their presence out there and will disappear unless they go online. I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for all of your questions and answers and everything. I'm mindful that you've all been on screen for a very long time now and that we want to hear from Terry. So Terry, there have been a number of suggestions. I'm going to let you look through the chat to decide what it is you're going to play. I've just got to offer a few festival notes to everyone. John, is there anything that you would like to add before I do that?
No, apart from reiterating my thanks and appreciation for Terry and his wonderful contribution tonight, but across the years as well. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for coming.
We've got more music on tonight at 8 o'clock with Varro, who are doing a film premiere of their music on our Facebook channel. So that's facebook.com/Live Irish Fest. It's on for about an hour. I really recommend it. It's an Irish-French duo who have adopted Irish music as their form of expression. They're incredible. And they're working with some other Dublin artists to bring that film out, especially for the festival tonight. Obviously, we need to thank our funders for the festival. So that's Liverpool City Council and the Irish Government's Emigrant Support Programme. And I'd also like to draw your attention, there are 2 days left of festival. If you'd like to find out what else is on, please go to liverpoolirishfestival.com/events. If you could spend a few minutes giving us some additional feedback on how you found the festival this year, if you could go to the same website, but /feedback. And if you would like to make a donation to the festival, the same website again, but /give. Thanks for listening to those. I know if you've been to a few events now, you'll probably know that by rote, but it's really important for us to share with you all. So I would like to say thank you to you all for coming. I'd love to say thank you to Terry for the work on the documentary. And after Terry has finished his song, we'll all applause uproariously. We'll unmute everyone so we can hear it. And we will then close the session. But thank you very much for being here. To you, Terry.
Right, well, thanks, Francis. I'm going to play this is the world's biggest whistle. It's a bass G made by Colin Goldie. I'm going to try and play the very first part, you bugger, of the Books of Onamore, which is quite a fast and difficult reel, but I've got my flute ready to pick up, and I'll play the rest of it on that. So, you see here, it's like a train coming in. Okay, so you heard that, and thank you.
Yourself.
You can shout now, we're all muted.
Hey.
Good planning yourself.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye bye.
Hello.